Hey girl, hey, and welcome back. Welcome back to week 2 of Coffee and Conversations, where I share with you my journey through reading through the Bible. That's what we're doing, okay? As I mentioned before in the first episode, disclaimer, I am not a theologian. I am not a Bible scholar. I am a minister in training. I am God's favorite daughter. And I am simply sharing this to encourage someone else to not be intimidated by the words in the Bible, but to take your time and walk slowly through the Bible so that you can better understand what the words mean to you and how to apply them to your life. And so I started last week in Luke. And so this week we are still in Luke. And let me apologize, first of all, for not getting this episode out sooner. Charge it to my head and not my heart. We are delayed but not denied. I'm recovering from a knee injury, and part of that recovery process required me to work from home for 2 weeks. And so yesterday was my first day back in the office, so I kind of had to get myself situated. But again, I do apologize for the lateness, but again, delayed, not denied. So this week we are still in Luke. We are in Luke chapter 2, and we are verses 48 through 50. So let me set the scene for you before I read the verses. So Jesus has already been born to Mary and Joseph. And Mary and Joseph and their family and friends traveled to Jerusalem for Passover. They packed up and are now leaving Jerusalem. They begin their travels. Mary and Joseph assume that Jesus is amongst their family and friends in the caravan. No problem. However, a day passes. They begin to look for him and they can't find him. And I can imagine how they felt as a mother whose both of my sons ventured off in the mall when they were about 4 or 5 for about 5 minutes. And the anxiety and the horror set in, and every thought except they're going to be okay occupied my mind. So I can sympathize and completely understand with the anxiety that I'm sure Mary and Joseph experienced at that time. So they began to look for Jesus, could not find him. So they backtracked back to Jerusalem, where they find Jesus in a temple. Jesus is in a temple and he's sitting amongst teachers, and he is listening to them and asking questions. And everyone in the temple is just in awe about his ability to, number one, absorb what they are talking about, and number two, ask questions. They're like, this child is understanding what we're talking about. This is amazing. So this is where we pick up. So verse 48, again, Luke 2, verse 48, the NRSV version, says, when his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, child, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously looking for you. And he said to them, why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my father's house? But they did not understand what he said to them. So as I was reading through this, and reading through this a couple of times, and thinking about how this verse fits with my life. And again, I can only tell you about my experience and how this fits with my life. How this verse fits perfectly into my life. When I first started my journey with Christ, when I first started my walk, I was so excited. I wanted to tell everybody that I was in the book. I was in the good book. I was in my father's house. I was trying to do all the things to step into my purpose and to please God, right? And so I stopped going to places that I used to go to organically. I didn't wake up one morning and say, I ain't going to the strip club no more. It's just organically, I had no desire to do that. I didn't wake up and say, I ain't going to the club no more. Organically, I had no desire to do that. But people would reach out to me and be like, oh, I was at such and such. I thought you would be there. I didn't see you. I was not there. I was in my father's house. To me, this is important as I journey through my walk, that people are going to look for me in places that I don't go anymore. People are going to look for me in circles that I no longer fit in. People are going to continue to look for me in the places that they are used to finding me in or assuming I am supposed to be. Mary and Joseph assumed that their son was with them. They did not discover until a full 24 hours later that he was in his father's house. Go to your father's house. Don't worry about if they're going to notice if you missing or not. Eventually, they will notice. But don't go tell them where you're going. Let them find you in your father's house. I took all of that and I ingested it as a reminder to myself that if people are looking for me, they see me, they see the change, they notice the change, but they also will know that no, you can't find me in those spaces. Where you can now find me is in my Father's house. And by them coming to my Father's house, they can become enamored and in awe by my ability to understand and ask the questions that are necessary as I walk through my journey with God. So the next time somebody reaches out and asks you, where you been? I haven't seen you at a club anymore. Just respond the way Jesus did in Luke 2, verse 49. Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? And whether or not they understand that is between them and God. So, if anybody out there is looking for Treya, you know where to find me. I will be in my Father's house, okay? What is your interpretation of that verse? Please, please, please share this with me, because I am interested in knowing how you and how your mind process that. See, the good thing about the good book is the way that I process this verse now is different than what I would have processed it in my 20s and 30s, and probably going to be different than what I processed it in my 60s and 70s. That's the thing about the good book, is it applies in your life at different moments, and the meanings, even though the words remain the same, the meaning for your life can be different. So again, I'm not a Bible scholar. I don't have a master's degree in theology, but what I am is a minister in training and God's favorite daughter trying to figure this thing out. And so I hope my interpretation helped you, and I want you to share your interpretation, and I hope that it helps me to see a different side of this, all right? So again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This will be a weekly sharing. Next week I am on vacation, so I will not promise you an episode on Monday because I might be asleep. But I'm going to get into the practice of doing this every Monday morning as God sees fit to put on my heart. Again, I will share what I read. If I read something that's not impactful or something that does not, strike a chord with me, then I probably won't share it, because again, this is coming from my perspective, my point of view. But I do want to use this as an opportunity to encourage someone else who may be intimidated by the Bible. Get the version of the Bible that you can read easily. Like I said before, I do the Christian Bible, which is easy for me to read. Sometimes I read the NRSV version, which is easy for me to read at times. And so is the King James version. But just like trying on shoes, you get the one that fits for you. All right. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe this to my YouTube channel. If you want to share, please feel free. If you just want to inbox me and share your interpretations, I appreciate those as well. Let's do this walk together. You are not by yourself. I know I'm not by myself. I have a village that if I have questions, I know that they will assist me in finding the answer. And I encourage you to talk to your village. Talk to your village. And if you don't have one, if you stay in your Father's house long enough, they'll come and find you. All right. So you all be blessed. Have a great week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.